side the Atlantic a year ago. How far away strife-torn Europe. How peaceful Paris. A Paris as yet untouched by the withering hand of war after 4 months of conflict. Although Poland has perished, although enemy armies mass at the gates, an indifferent democracy still dances. In a France unwilling to sacrifice, the flame of freedom flickers as 1940 dawns. Inside the Maginot Line, the French army sits in fancied security. A strange interlude on the Western Front encourages this delusion. Only afloat is their action. British sea power and Nazi sky power begin a relentless struggle for supremacy. Day after day, the duel goes on. Bombers versus battleships. Norway invaded. The Allies answer with a naval attack on Nazi-held ports. Warships cover withdrawal of expeditionary forces after a futile land campaign. In blood and fire, Norway pays the price of unpreparedness. In May, war spreads from Norway to the Netherlands. The winged terror of Blitzkrieg is unloosed on the Western Front. After 18 fateful days of destruction, resistance ends in the lowlands. The exodus of 1940 begins. The dikes of human misery open wide. As the Flanders front crumbles, Britain brings up troops for a last stand. In the year's darkest hour, Britain achieves a military miracle, the evacuation of Dunkirk. 5 days, Tommies of the BEF are taken from the beaches and the water. Boatload after boatload embarked under ceaseless attack. In the midst of rejoicing at the gallant rescue of 335,000 soldiers, Mr. Churchill grimly warns, wars are not won by evacuation. And so it proves. The complete collapse of France follows swiftly. City after city is abandoned without resistance to become a hell on earth. Poor blind France. Like this sightless wanderer, she gropes in the darkness of despair, prays for deliverance. Her defeat writes a new chapter in human suffering. 5 million driven from their homes become helpless pawns of a ruthless conqueror. Tragic epilogue of France's fall is the destruction of her Mediterranean fleet at Oran, a desperate measure by the British to circumvent surrender to the Axis. Melancholy fate for the naval might of France. Now Britain alone faces the enemy across the waters, a Britain transformed into a bristling fortress, on the alert against invasion. Upon the youthful flyers of the Royal Air Force, many of them scarcely past their teens, rests the fate of the Empire. The Battle of Britain begins. Convoys are the first targets. John Bull meets the challenge. British fighters speed to engage the foe. In hundreds of desperate dogfights, the invaders are held at bay. London Inferno, havoc wrought by mass night raids. This is total war now, stripped of all pretense. greatest city rights in flames an epic of courage that stirs the hearts of free men everywhere. Dawn and devastation in a Britain under siege. In Coventry, Bristol, Birmingham, Southampton, life becomes a nightmare in which 50,000 are killed or injured in the first 5 months. Night and day and night, indiscriminate attacks continue. In underground shelters, a dauntless Britain carries on undismayed. Never in history has an entire people borne so frightful an ordeal so bravely. Yes, England can take it. Helping England take it are Britain's beloved rulers. They visit every stricken area, setting an example of calm and courage. Royalty and commoner, Prime Minister and people stand united, unflinching. Embattled Britain, led by Winston Churchill, is heartened by the voice of democracy across the Atlantic.
The men and the women of Britain have shown how free people defend what they know to be right. Their heroic defense will be recorded for all time. It will be perpetual proof that democracy, when put to the test, can show the stuff of which it is made.
Over here, 1940 sees a great awakening amid the excitement of a presidential campaign. Followers of Wendell Willkie stand with supporters of Mr. Roosevelt against an enslaved world. On election night, the verdict is accepted by all. The people have spoken. Even as neighbors hail the winner, the first president ever elected for a third term, Franklin Delano Roosevelt looks to the critical days ahead.
The Americans will not be scared or threatened into the ways the dictators want us to follow, because we believe that we shall be all for one and one for all.
As the new year dawns, an aroused America realizes preparedness is the price of survival. Delay is the death warrant of democracy. Full speed ahead must be this nation's watchword. Total defense on land, on sea, and in the air. Only these will keep the aggressor from our shores and keep war from America.